Rent a Girlfriend season 4 just got announced, and I'm going to make this video. Just go ahead and say don't bother. There's no reason to keep watching this show. I can't believe we got another season. I can't believe the manga is still going. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen in this season since I did read the manga past this point and why you shouldn't bother. There will be a ton of spoilers, so there's your warning. The main reason I'm saying don't bother is because so far the show has covered, I think, 167 chapters. And assuming that this season kind of gets the Paradise arc and a little bit more about the same pace, the Paradise arc is like 42 chapters or something. So you're looking at getting from about, let's just say 170 to about 240. So this Paradise arc is going to take up the whole season. I just want to put this out there if you're someone who watched the first 3 seasons and think, oh, season 4 is going to be the one. It's not. If the show continues, season 5 won't even be the one. Because of where this season is going to end, as of now, you still have 100 chapters that they haven't made progress. Like, yeah, there's an earthquake in the building and he lives with her for a month and she's doing her trial phase investigation bullshit, blah, blah, blah. At this point in the world, by the way, I'm pretty sure it's been like 2 years and they're just in the same place, treading water. I liked this series up through this arc. And then once this arc reset the story, I was pretty much just done with it. The arc itself is a vacation where she has to go with him for a couple days. So they're staying overnight at the same hotel and blah, blah, blah. In this arc, Chizuru gets exposed for being a rent-a-girlfriend. They have their kiss near the end of the season. You find out Mommy's backstory. She's kind of played her cards, so she should be irrelevant, but she's still fucking not somehow. Like the grandma knows that she's a rental girlfriend. Everything's kind of put out there in the open. And it goes so far as Kazuya tries to propose, and it just kind of gets prolonged and dragged out and whatever. Typical rent-a-girlfriend rom-com shit. Once this arc ends, you're like, okay, it's exposed she's a rental girlfriend. The grandma knows. They've kissed. Like, now we're getting somewhere. They're going to start actually dating. No, instead, she ghosted him for months. Hard reset. As of the last time that I read the manga, which was like chapter 320 something, they still hadn't even had their first date. And the author had dedicated at least 10 chapters or 12 by the time that I stopped to preparing for the date. But it's also set up a bunch of other stuff for the date to get ruined by Mommy and Omi or Ruka or whoever. And this arc that is going to air in season 4 probably should have been like the climax of the show and kind of started wrapping it up. And instead what the author does is after this arc, he does a hard reset just to drag the story out, I guess, forever. The people who are coping and love the series will be like, oh, but all these little things happen and blah, blah, blah. And they're living together, which is all sort of true, but it's all super repetitive. And the way the manga is written, he spends about 15 pages out of the 20 each chapter just having Kazuya inner monologue the same shit that he's been doing for 300 fucking chapters. And then the last couple of chapters, he'll throw in enough for it to be bait for the next one. So as the story is going on, you're like, oh, I've read 290 chapters. You get a random chapter of him dedicated to trying to see a mole on her inner thigh. You'll get 4 chapters of them playing Twister that could lead to something, but it never does. And you get this kind of rinse and repeat that I think is going to go on, I would guess, at least until chapter 400 before they actually make legitimate progress, that they don't just revert back. The way the author baits stuff, like he's made a point to bring Mommy back into the story, to bring Umi back into the story, or Umi, whatever the fuck his name is. Ruka hasn't been around forever. So it's very easy to imagine that it takes 15, 20 chapters to prepare for a date, which is fucking ridiculous on its own. And then you do all that just to have someone else come screw it up. You've reset, you've wasted 40 or 50 chapters, and you're in the same place you were 100 chapters ago. To me, I actually think it's kind of disrespectful on the author's part to just sort of exploit the fans with bait and just keep dragging the story out to a ridiculous degree just to make more money. Because if this story was written in a more concise way and by a more standard writing style, the story could have covered probably in 150 chapters, maybe even like 120, what it has taken at this point, like 330 something to cover. Like in most series, when you focus on just one person, the story has to be shorter because that's just the nature of it. This isn't really a show or series that bounces around with a bunch of characters and backstories and that sort of thing. It does a little bit, but really Kazuya is in like 95% of the chapters. So you don't have like massive groups of people that you have to get all their information and side plots and that sort of thing. There's one plot and it's just being dragged on forever. I mean, season 3 to me is a great example of this. I didn't watch season 3, I read the manga. But Kazuya spends all this time making her a movie, they get closer, her grandmother dies. Like, that's a lot of character work that's been done. And then you just kind of go, they're still in the same position. And it's also just bad writing in the sense that the longer you have the build-up, the bigger the payoff needs to be. I just said this about The Acolyte recently, which fell right on its face, episode 7, exactly as I predicted. At this point, the author has played the card of her grandmother dying. He's played the card of her getting exposed as a rental girlfriend. Umi really has been pretty much dealt with, even though he technically hasn't. Mommy has been dealt with because she played her cards. So at this point, he's just going to make some weird shit up, and the climax is going to be totally flat. That took, I'm guessing, 400 chapters to get to by the time it actually gets there. And it's just not worth it. So I'm mainly putting this out as a warning for everybody who thinks that the next season is going to be the one, because I don't think it's fair of the author to waste people's time like this. One of the best rom-coms is Kaguya-sama, Love is War. That entire series was like 270 chapters, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that series covers 2 main characters and their backstories, at least 3 side characters and their backstories. You get all kinds of side plots. If you've watched that anime, it could have ended after season 3, even though there's plenty of material for it to go another couple seasons at least. But then the dynamic changes, obviously, because they're together now. That series is way funnier, way more dense, way better character work. This series is being stretched out just to milk the audience, as far as I'm concerned. If you like the series and don't care that progress isn't going to happen for a long time, obviously keep watching, do whatever you want. I just want to put this out there because I feel like the story is written in actually a kind of deceptive way that's just perpetual bait and blue balls. So that's going to be it for me for this one. I don't want to keep going on about it. I just wanted to put it out there because I couldn't believe that it got announced for a season 4. And frankly, I can't believe that people are still reading the manga. It could have been a good series if it was better written and more tightly written and ended in totality after 3 seasons. But it's going to need at least 6 seasons to get to the point where progress happens. And that's just me speculating, being generous. It could be even more. So whatever. If you're still here, like and subscribe and all that. If you like the series, dislike it, whatever. I try to respond to all the comments that aren't just insults. Like and subscribe and all that shit. Thanks. See ya.